Good morning. I hope you guys are enjoying your Friday. It's a beautiful day here in Vegas. Still a little bit chilly, but fortunately no more rain. I'm going to talk to you about Rivian trade that I've been doing and selling calls and puts, and why I think that can help you guys in terms of your return on investment and some of your portfolio or some of your trades. I find it super helpful for me, and I like to gain all the different things that go into an option, not just the stock. But so you guys know, and I get this out of the way, I'm not a financial planner, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer. Please use the information on this channel for entertainment purposes only and reach out to your financial planner, your accountant, or your lawyer for any financial decisions you guys make. Especially because I don't want you to overthink. This is just one trade, and I don't want you to think I take this type of risk with all of my investments and push this hard. I just see that there is an advantage to using options because you collect a lot of premium that isn't in the stock. Options are comprised of, they have different Greek symbols that they use for it, but it's essentially time decay and volatility. And then there's one called gamma, which is like the volatility of volatility, or the deltas of deltas. And then there's the delta, which is kind of like the percentage of stock that you own by owning that option. And when you short an option, you're kind of collecting all of those premiums, not just the value of the stock. So I pick one or two stocks that tend to bounce around a decent amount, and I try to sell options against them to gain up that extra premium. Um, but I don't do it with the majority of my portfolio because I want to pick some stocks that have some risk, and I don't really like to take that much risk for most things. Um, at the same time, I like the strategy. I'm long. When I looked, I thought I saw Rivian was at about 1340, 1350 when I last looked. I have, let me take a look because I don't always remember. I have three options expiring today. I have a 14 call. Well, actually, I have five that are expiring today: a 14 call, 17 and a half call, and a 22 call. And then I have a 12 put and a 12 and a half put that are going to be expiring, which, based on where it is now, if it closes where it is, I'll collect all those premiums, and nothing will change in my overall stock position. So what I would do is I'll look to sell another of the 14 call, another 17 and a half call, and another 22 call. And in order to get a premium on a 22 call, I'll have to look out to further dates, and maybe even some of the later, once you get into the quarterlies, they don't always have every strike price. So I might have to look to a 20 or a 25 call and make that decision, or hold on to the shares. I haven't sold any puts for next week, just because I hate to admit, uh, overall, I think it's the right time to buy the market, but myself included. The news has made me nervous, and I don't want to pick up too many shares if it keeps drifting lower. Rivian isn't like one of those stocks that I just believe in and love the company or anything else. I have that perspective on Amazon. I mean, I think they're a wonderful company, and I think they're gonna, like, I have that type of mentality, or a Bristol Myers or AbbVie, or just a little bit more of a secure company that I don't mind getting longer and longer as they go lower. Some of the ones like that I might look to do options on, like Rivian for this one, but I like Snowflake for that type of stuff too, and I like Shopify and some of the others, but I don't know a ton about those companies, so I'm not so comfortable just getting longer and longer and longer if the stock goes lower. If I have a little too much Amazon in my portfolio, it's okay if they fall 20 or 30%. I try not to look at it that way. Whereas on the trades, I'm a little more sensitive. So anyway, those are the ones expiring this week. I'm short a couple next week already. I'm short one, two, three, four. Looks like four more options that are expiring next week that are as high as only up to a 16. And usually when I see the prices of where my calls are, it's an indication of approximately where I got filled on some puts. I'm probably a dollar higher on it, possibly a little more. Like, I know I never bought above 20, so I started selling the puts at like 18, 17, that type of range. So the calls that I have that are above that are just me wanting to be greedy and that I wanted to own some of the stock. um, and we'll continue to play it out. I did actually sell one of the next, I don't normally do this. I sold next year's January 19th 30 call, but I did that because I got 90 cents for it, and the stock was trading like 13 and change, and I thought, geez, percentage wise, that's pretty good return for a year. And if the stock more than doubles, well, I'm okay losing 100 shares there. Normally I like to do the weeklies and just grind away my 10, 15, 20 cents every week, because I kind of think of that as income. It isn't. I don't want to, it's not income that I rely on, but I look at it the same way I kind of look at dividend checks. If I make $20 every week, that adds up. And if I can do it on 2 or 3 options, it's not a ton of money, but it's only one trade I have on. And I think you get better return on the trade by constantly nickeling, diming a little bit extra every week. You have to be a little bit more involved. You can't just leave it. When I use the example of Amazon, I just leave it. So it's a really easy position. With this stuff, I have to watch, and I really watch every day, but I do that anyway because I'll trade S&P minis, and I trade micros actually, and I trade currency futures and other things. So I'm constantly watching the markets and paying attention. And to be fair, it's very hard to do this stuff if you don't keep an eye on it's not one of those set it and forget it. It's not one of those just relax and it'll work itself out. You have to start watching whatever company it is that you watch and pay attention to its ebbs and flows and how it moves, and get used to it. It's interesting that I watch so many markets now, because where I was so fortunate was when I was trading the yen futures, and that was all I traded. Now on the floor, there are different advantages, and we can talk about that in another video. But it wasn't like I was spread out looking at euro currency and S&P futures and hogs and lumber and all the things that traded on the exchange. I just went to the pit. I traded every day and continued to trade it. So pay attention to the ones you pay attention to and get comfortable with the moves they make. Now, I'm happy to chime in if you have a question about a stock. I'll let you know if I don't watch it too. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, I have a good feel for something that I don't really pay attention to. And then we'll go from there. So I hope you all have a nice weekend. Chime in, like, subscribe, don't. It's all cool with me. Like I said, I'm okay talking this stuff. Just it helps me work through my trades. So have a good one.